Inherited. That is the most accurate word for what is happening every time you make a financial decision. Not chosen, not reasoned, not calculated, inherited. There is a set of beliefs sitting beneath every financial choice you make. Beliefs about whether money is good or dangerous, whether having it makes you a better or worse person, whether you deserve it, whether talking about it is appropriate, whether spending it brings relief or shame. You did not arrive at these beliefs through analysis. You did not choose them as an adult after weighing the evidence. You absorbed them, mostly before the age of 10, from the people around you, from what they said about money, what they didn't say, and what they did with it when they thought you weren't watching. Researchers call these beliefs money scripts, and in 2011, a team of financial psychologists published the first systematic study of what these scripts are, how many distinct categories exist, and what they cost the people who carry them. The study was led by Brad Klontz, a financial psychologist and researcher at Kansas State University. Klontz had spent years doing clinical work with clients who, by every reasonable measure, should have been financially healthy. They had income, they had knowledge. Some had been through financial education programs. Many had read the books and followed the advice, and they kept making the same mistakes. Not random ones, predictable ones, patterns that repeated across years and sometimes across decades. The same self-sabotage, the same avoidance, the same compulsions. Klontz's hypothesis was that these patterns were not irrational, they were entirely rational. They were just responding to a different logic than the one the client thought they were using. A subconscious logic, one written in childhood. To test this, he and his colleagues developed a 72-question inventory, the Klontz Money Script Inventory, and administered it to 422 individuals. The data revealed 4 distinct belief systems about money, each with its own internal logic, its own behavioral consequences, and its own relationship to income, net worth, and financial well-being. Most people carry elements of more than one, but almost everyone has a dominant script. A primary financial operating system running beneath every decision they make, and in the vast majority of cases, they have no idea it exists. To understand where money scripts come from, you have to understand what Klontz calls financial flashpoints. A financial flashpoint is an emotionally charged early experience or series of experiences involving money. It does not have to be dramatic. It does not have to involve poverty or crisis. It might be a parent who never talked about money, whose silence taught you that money was shameful or dangerous. It might be a sudden job loss that made an already anxious household feel permanently precarious. It might be watching one parent spend while the other panicked, and deciding without words which one was right. It might be being told repeatedly that people like us don't have money, or that rich people are greedy, or that you should never let anyone know what you earn. These moments create a template, a framework for understanding what money is, what it means, and how someone like you should relate to it. A 2024 survey by TIAA found that more than 60% of adults report that their childhood experiences directly influence their current financial habits. Not their financial education, their experiences, the emotional texture of how money felt in the house they grew up in. The remarkable thing about money scripts is how precisely they are inherited across generations. A grandparent who survived a period of severe economic scarcity hoards cash and distrusts banks. Their child inherits the anxiety, and even without the original context, treats money with the same vigilance. That child's child grows up with a parent who is secretive about finances, who never spends money on themselves, who regards debt as a moral failure without ever understanding why. The script travels across generations. The original event does not. What Klontz's research identified is that these inherited scripts cluster into 4 recognizable patterns, 4 distinct ways of relating to money that, once you see them, are almost impossible to unsee, in yourself and in the people around you. The first script is money avoidance. Money avoiders believe at some level that money is bad, that it corrupts, that wealthy people are greedy or unethical, that wanting more money is a character flaw, that good people, spiritual people, decent people should not be too concerned with accumulating it. The behavioral consequences of this script are specific and measurable. Money avoiders tend to ignore bank statements and avoid looking at their financial accounts. They self-sabotage, unconsciously undermining their own financial success just as it begins to materialize. They give money away compulsively, often at the expense of their own financial stability. They under-earn relative to their actual capabilities, not because of lack of skill, but because deep down they do not believe they should have more. Klontz's research found that money avoidance scripts are most prevalent among younger, less educated, and lower-income individuals, but not because those individuals are less capable. Because the script itself, operating beneath consciousness, is actively constraining their financial outcomes. The cruel irony of money avoidance is this: the belief that money is bad leads to behaviors that keep you poor, which then reinforces the belief that money must not be for people like you. The second script is money worship. Money worshippers believe that more money will solve everything, that if they could just earn enough, just reach the next income level, just hit the next net worth milestone, the anxiety would stop, the problems would dissolve, the life they want would finally begin. The defining characteristic of money worship is that the threshold never arrives. There is always a next level. The satisfaction that was supposed to come at 100,000 gets rescheduled to 500,000. The peace that was supposed to come at 1 million gets moved to 5 million. In the meantime, money worshippers tend to carry revolving credit card debt, spending in pursuit of feelings that money has never yet delivered. They are statistically more likely to engage in compulsive buying and what researchers call financial enabling, giving money to others even when it damages their own financial position. Klontz's data found that money worship was associated with lower net worth across almost every income bracket. Not because money worshippers don't earn, some earn a great deal, but because the emotional relationship with money is one of perpetual scarcity, regardless of what the account balance actually says. The third script is money status. For money status believers, net worth equals self-worth. The car, the postcode, the watch, the school their children attend. These are not just purchases. They are statements about who they are and where they belong. Money status scripts are associated with a specific demographic profile: younger, single, less educated, with lower levels of net worth, which creates a recognizable and painful pattern. People with the least money are among the most likely to spend it, performing the appearance of having more. The research found that money status believers consistently prioritize visible consumption over wealth accumulation. They buy the newest version of things. They upgrade before they need to. They spend in ways that are visible to others and save in ways that are invisible, which is to say, they often do not save at all. The fourth script is money vigilance. On the surface, money vigilance looks like financial virtue. Vigilant types save diligently, they live below their means, they are deeply uncomfortable with debt. They keep emergency funds. They do not discuss their finances publicly, not out of shame, but out of a belief that financial matters should be private. The data confirms what you might expect. Money vigilance is the script most positively associated with net worth and savings rates. In Klontz's research, money-vigilant individuals consistently showed stronger financial health indicators than those carrying the other three scripts. But there is a cost. Money vigilance is also the script most associated with financial anxiety, with the inability to enjoy money even when you have it, with guilt around spending, even on necessities, with a persistent low-level dread that what has been saved will somehow disappear. Money-vigilant individuals often have more than enough, and they feel every day as though they never will. Now here is the connection that ties all four scripts together. In a paper we examined previously, Researchers Fernandez, Lynch, and Nettermeyer analyzed 201 studies on financial education and found that formal financial literacy programs explain approximately 0.1% of the variance in actual financial behavior. 0.1%. The reason is not that the information is wrong. The reason is that information travels through the conscious mind. Money scripts live somewhere else entirely. They live in the part of the brain that was formed before you had the language to question what it was learning. You cannot out-educate a script you do not know you are running. In 2011, the same year Klontz published his original research, he co-authored a second paper examining what happens when people attempt to change their money scripts. The findings were not optimistic. When money scripts are reinforced by intense emotion, when they are not just beliefs, but feelings, identity, and memory, they become highly resistant to change. Even when the client has insight, even when they can describe the script in precise terms, trace it to the exact childhood experience that created it, and articulate exactly why it is damaging them, they still return to it. This is one of the most important things the research tells us. Knowing your money script is not the same as changing it. Understanding that you are a money avoider does not automatically stop you from avoiding. Recognizing that you are a money worshipper does not immediately quiet the voice that says more will be enough. The script does not respond to argument. It responds to experience. This is why the intervention research is both encouraging and specific. A financial psychology intervention documented in the Journal of Financial Therapy found that following a structured program, one that addressed not just financial knowledge, but the emotional and psychological roots of financial behavior, 38% of previously unengaged employees became retirement plan participants. Contribution rates increased by 39%. 68% requested one-on-one meetings with financial advisors. These are not trivial numbers. In the context of financial education research, where 201 studies found effects barely distinguishable from zero, a 39% increase in contribution rates is remarkable. The difference was not more information. The difference was addressing the layer beneath the information. Here is where this becomes personally useful. The 4 money scripts are not diagnoses. They are not character flaws. They are not evidence that something is wrong with you. They are the logical output of experiences you had before you had any control over what you were being taught. A child who grows up in a household where money is always a source of tension and shame does not choose money avoidance. They learn it the way you learn a language, fluently, without grammar lessons, before you are old enough to know you are learning anything at all. A child who watches a parent work constantly, sacrifice constantly, promise themselves that one day the effort will be enough, and then watch that parent die before the day comes, does not choose money worship. They inherit it along with the grief. The question is not which script is running. The question is whether you are aware enough of it to interrupt it when it matters. And this is where the research offers something that most personal finance content does not. Most personal finance content operates on the assumption that your financial behavior is governed by information. That if you know enough, you will do the right thing. That the gap between knowing and doing is just a matter of discipline. But the evidence, across the Klontz research, across the Fernandez analysis of 201 studies, across decades of data on individual investor behavior, points to something different. The gap between knowing and doing is not discipline, it is identity. What you do with money is an expression of who you believe you are, and who you believe you are was largely decided before you had any say in the matter. This is not a reason for despair. It is a reason for a different kind of attention. Not the attention you give to a budget spreadsheet. The attention you give to the voice in your head when you are about to make a financial decision that you already know, on some level, you should not be making. What is it saying? And more importantly, whose voice is it? Because there is a version of financial intelligence that has nothing to do with reading more books or following more analysts. It is the ability to see the script before the script sees you. And that, more than any investment strategy, any savings rate, any asset allocation formula, is what actually changes what you do with money. Which of the 4 scripts did you grow up with?